Kristi, how are you?
Fabulous, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing pretty magical now that I have you in front of this camera and we're going to have a little conversation. It's always magical talking to you.
Oh, thanks.
Now,
So honored to do this with you.
I appreciate that. Now, before we get into the nitty gritty here, why don't you let everybody know who you are, who you serve, and why you do what you do?
I can do that for you. So, hello, everybody. My name is Kristi Data. I live in Brooklyn, New York, and I am a health, wellness, and fitness junkie. You can pretty much find me anywhere throughout New York City or practically the country, traveling around. And I'm constantly in one fitness mode or another. But what really lights me up from the inside out is helping people transform their lives physically, emotionally, and financially. I also am the founder of the Girl Gang Evolution, which is now in its infancy stage, but it will be taking off and become a global event, and I can't wait to share more about it as things develop. So that's a little bit about me.
It better become a global event. I was at the very first one, and I feel very special for you having invited me to come by and snap a couple of magical photos for that.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun, and we got some seriously incredible feedback. The next one's probably going to be in Tampa, Florida, followed by Denver, then San Francisco. So I had some pretty powerful influencers in that fitness world. Like,
Yeah.
Can you do this event here? So
Yeah, no, that's amazing. That's amazing. And that was recently, but a couple of months prior to that, you and I had a little magical session by ourselves, had a little portrait session. Yes.
Mhm.
Now, which was a lot of fun, by the way. I really enjoy working with you. It was a lot of fun going into Brooklyn, into Williamsburg, into where we work, and having basically the run of the place to ourselves for a Saturday, which is never an option, usually with my clients. So I felt very spoiled, and I wanted to thank you again for making that happen and making me very happy to do that for you.
Welcome. It was my pleasure because I get a lot of compliments on how did you take those pictures and how do you know which ones to use? And I'm like, you should talk to the expert. He actually pulled a lot of stuff out of me to get those the way that they are.
Well, let's actually talk about that. Now,
Sure.
where were you in your business mindset when you finally came to the decision that, hey, I need to get some photos. I need to elevate my presence online. I need some stuff for social. And what were the deciding factors for that for you?
First and foremost, I stalked you for a while on social media, just following the different, yeah, it's a true story. I stalked you for a little bit, and then we started to communicate, and I really took a look at what some of your other clients were utilizing their pictures for and how they were usually using it to create what you could have coined as visual punctuation. And I'm like, gosh, I really need to do something more than just the doctored up selfie that I've been trying to promote. And it's actually made a big difference as far as getting the message across, the words that I create from it, the mindset. And it's shifted to, some people asking me about your work and how I came up with some of my content. So it's been a game changer for me to actually think about the intention behind the message and the picture that I can actually put with it to create more of an impact or a wow effect to it.
Yeah. Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head with the visual punctuation. I think that's one thing that a lot of clients don't actually understand prior to them walking into a session. It's that, no, it's not just about how good these photos look. It's about how they complement the stories and the sentiments of the stories that you share with your audience. And I think we really hit the nail on the head with respect to capturing those kinds of images that you already were not using. Now, on your feed, you were already a champ when it comes to posting, and that was something that I really appreciated about what you brought to the table from the beginning, because you write very insightful types of posts, and you leverage the photos that you're leveraging were fine. It's not that they weren't good. It's just that it was very one-dimensional because it was mostly fitness stuff, and the stuff was great. But that's not the whole of you. That's not always the way that you show up. Now, I know that you're a big fan of the athleisure and you're a fan of all these outfits, but actually working with clients is something that you do, and that was something that was missing. Images of you brainstorming and you thinking and writing ideas down and all of that stuff. So we kind of filled in the holes where your stuff didn't actually, you weren't posting that kind of stuff at that time. Now, when it comes to... Well, when it came to the Idea Nugget Incubator, we talked a lot about your content. We talked about what you were actually doing, and we discussed what you could also be doing. How valuable did you find that Idea Nugget Incubator program piece to your session in terms of how you're now leveraging that information and that knowledge to step up your posts?
I would say that probably was the most educational and critical piece of what we did together. It actually made me think about what I was actually typing out and how most people are visual, and when they see a post on social media, it's usually the picture that catches their attention. Not many people take the time to actually read the entire post and the message. Some do, but the majority, what catches their attention is the picture. And sitting there going through the process of what my intention was, what my messaging would be, how could this impact somebody, who my audience is, the type of person that I want to reach out to, that entire process of going through it made me really dig deeper versus just slapping up a picture and maybe a quote from somebody else. So it was very powerful to kind of really take the time to sit and think about, okay, what am I really trying to do here versus what some of the masses are doing by slapping up a picture of somebody in a sports bra and some weights.
You know, I stopped putting up sports bras and weight photos because I just really didn't like the attention that I was getting from everybody. It just made me
understand.
I just felt cheap. I felt cheap and used. I just didn't want it anymore.
I totally understand. But with respect to that whole process, you're the first photographer that actually has taken the time to really want to better understand and have a foundation prior to snapping pictures, which made the day just go so much more efficiently, smoother, fun. We threw in a couple audibles, but it was just a lot of, it was more of an at ease type of process, just to kind of know what the intention of the day and the session, so we could be super productive during the time we had for pictures.
Well, what normally, now I know that you've worked with many photographers, many amateur and professional photographers. They don't do that stuff with you?
Honestly, no. The couple of photographers that I worked were, have done other pictures, and I liked their pictures. And I guess, not really knowing the questions to ask. And that's the other, educational piece that you impacted me with. Impacted me with ask better questions. And, some of the personal development stuff that I do as well is the quality of your questions is the quality of your life. And I learned that from Tony Robbins. So it kind of kickstarted me into like, okay, I need to ask better questions when I want to work with somebody, whether it's in a photography setting or in a professional or personal setting. Ask better questions, you'll get better answers, so you have a better gauge of where to take what the process is forward. So it was actually interesting. The couple of amateur photographers that I worked with, they're like, oh, I take really good pictures and I'd love to shoot you, and it's only going to be this much money. What do you say? And I didn't know enough to ask what it was, and there was really no direction other than try and turn here or tilt your head or smile or look a little up or look away. Like, there was a lot of direction day of shoot, but no pregame, if that makes sense.
No, it makes total sense, because if you don't have a pregame, how the hell are you supposed to know where you're going with the session in the first place?
Yeah.
You need to be able to understand where you're going in order to, you mentioned the audibles. I mean, that's a gigantic piece of what I do, but it only works when you have a well-placed plan ready to go. Otherwise, You're just kind of throwing shit against the wall and hoping that it works.
Yeah.
Which we don't want to do when you're in a branded lifestyle portrait session paying all this money. You kind of want to be understand what the value is. And speaking of value, what would you say is the value of working, of doing this whole portrait session thing?
For me, it taught me now, like in the future when you and I work together, it teaches me, okay, so here's what my new intention is. It'll be able to manifest faster on the day of the shoot. And the value of it was I was able to receive over an exorbitant amount of pictures that I can use different times, put a few different intentions behind them, but it was actually like impactful to kind of learn how you operate and what a true professional does so that they can deliver for their clients. But the value was bar none. Like I know that, you're going to have to just figure out how to travel, and when everything with Girl Gang Evolution goes bananas big, you're coming. Listen, so be ready.
You just get that plane ticket ready for me. I'm ready to go. That thing was a lot. That thing was definitely a lot of fun. And so was our session. And going into these things, you have a certain level of rapport and connection with someone before you do that. We obviously had spoken about, I would say, we did the Idea Nugget thing for 2 hours. We did the pre-session strategy call for 2 hours. We talked an hour on. So we put in about 5 hours of work together beforehand. So we already had a basic understanding of our personalities, and knew that the personalities would work.
Yeah.
Or as I like to say, your crazy meshes very well with my crazy. So that worked out really well. But in terms of the experience, what were you expecting actually going into the day of the shoot?
It's funny you say that, because after the 5-hour collective hours that we had of, brainstorming and preparing and all of the things with all the process that you go through, my expectation for that day was just to relax and be myself. I didn't really put any other expectation on it because I just felt super comfortable with everything that we discussed in our pregame planning sessions, that I didn't have any expectation of it's going to go like this, it's going to go like this. I just wanted to have a very open mind and be as coachable as possible, because I had never really worked with a true photography professional before, and I felt a little intimidated at first, but I'm like, okay, so he's a human being and so am I, and we'll be just fine.
Well, you may have had those hesitations, but you sure as hell didn't act like it. It felt like I was working with someone who was very comfortable in front of the camera. I mean, you'd have a couple of little asides here and there, and then I would swat them away with my tough love
yes, you
charming disposition that involved some expletives and some attitude, but it worked. It worked. But with respect to the session itself, even though I'm making a joke about that, did you have any kind of apprehensions about being in front of the camera? Were there any objections? Were there any kind of thoughts in your mind other than I'm a little intimidated? Anything that came to mind?
Me personally, I think I wanted to do a good job, but I didn't know what that good job looked like because I had never done something this way before. But as far as apprehension or, any of that, I don't think so. I was just like, okay, this is what the day's going to look like. We'll do our best with what we have and we'll go from there. But I truly felt like I was going to be guided in the right direction, and really was happy to lean on you for advice, any kind of shift in movement. I don't know. I guess the only apprehension was me doing a good job.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Now, with respect to the images, I see you posting like a madwoman every day, every other day. I don't know. I'm just getting tag mentions and everywhere that you post these things, which is magical. I'm a big fan. I actually enjoy reading your stuff, and I love the way that you're leveraging the images in a way to kind of tie everything together with your various aspects of the expertise that you have. How have these images contributed to more engagement or more responses? Has it led to any conversations? What's actually going on with these images and how they're helping your business right now?
First and foremost, whenever I start to brainstorm, or like today's May 1st, so we just started a new theme and it's about consistency. And I wanted to pick an image showing me working or doing something that constantly remind me of being consistent, whether it's, with reaching out to people or following up with clients or creating new content. And so the image I chose today was me working on a laptop and a quote by John C. Maxwell about consistency. And it just, people start to, you have your people that will engage. You're like, oh, you're so pretty, or you have such a nice smile. And it's like, did you read what's going on? So you have those people, but then you have a lot of people that actually will read it and they'll send me private messages either via, whatever social media platform I've posted the image on. And I get a lot of, creative ideas from them as well. And I also create some incredible relationships online that eventually turn into clients or a collaboration. So I would say the biggest thing that's turned out with all of the photos that I'm able to use is engagement offline that turn into future clients and also collaboration. So that's great.
Oh, wow. So that's been ramping up since you've been using the new stuff?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Please. God's sakes. I need to give you one of these shirts. I keep forgetting.
Sure.
The next time that I see you when you're not, globe-trotting across everywhere. Yeah. For those of you that don't know, Kristi's in a new state every other day, apparently. Every time I talk to her, it's God knows where she is now. But yeah. The one thing that I do see, though, is no matter where you are, those posts go up. And you're very, very consistent. And why do you feel the need to be consistent with your image content?
Oh, gosh. It's just like anything else, whether it's you're working on your business, working on, your health, working on your finances, working on personal, professional relationships. Consistency is the key. I mean, we want to be, even to yourself, being consistent is what's going to slowly, and if you read my post today, it's slow discipline, small discipline things that you're consistent with every single day lead to greater achievements over time. And it's just like anything else in life. If you're consistently improving your nutrition, let's just pick that because That's what I love to talk about. Yes. If you're consistently improving your nutrition, your energy level is going to go up. You may drop some unnecessary weight. Your body fat will change. You could gain some lean muscle. So by making those consistent changes, you might see a positive achievement. Inconsistency, I believe, leads to frustration, disappointment. It's kind of like when you're trying to learn a new skill. How about, we'll use what you do professionally. You're behind a camera, whether it's film or, still photo. If you weren't consistently practicing your craft every single day, you wouldn't be able to offer your clients the level of expertise and excellence that you do. I couldn't imagine you trying to do, I'll figure it out. I'll just shoot this one person this month, a couple months, come back in the scene, try it again.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's the key to elevating your success level.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. And it's something that people don't take into account when they see social media, and I have to post and be consistent. And that doesn't mean post every single day. It just means be consistent to whatever you're comfortable with starting and growing from there. But one of the important aspects to creating that is building in those habits, because those habits translate across the entire spectrum of your life and not just for your business. But when it is for your business and people start reaching out to you and you start having those conversations and those conversations go offline, then we start reaping the benefits of putting in that effort. And you for me, are an example of that, since we did start on Instagram.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. And then that slowly progressed into me harassing you with a camera for 4 hours in Brooklyn. Yes, I remember that.
I don't feel like it was harassment, but okay, that's a good adjective.
Good. I'm glad it wasn't harassment. I appreciate that. Now, one of the things that I've noticed about a lot of your posts are that you love quote posts. And I remember when I first started talking to you, I mentioned that it's great that you're doing the quote posts because they're easily consumable, they're right there, and people can kind of get a feel for it, and then it's a tease to actually read the copy and then follow through on the call to action, and then, get people in motion that way in your particular ecosystem. But the one thing that you were doing often was quoting other people, and you mentioned John Maxwell. But now I notice that a lot of the stuff that you're putting is it's leaning more towards your own words. Like you do still intersperse other people in there, but you're using a lot of your own stuff. Why? Why are you incorporating a lot more of your own stuff?
I like to keep changing it up, and somebody else's words sometimes are so powerful, and they hit me in my heart space. So like today's message of consistency by John C. Maxwell is huge, and I think splashing in a very well-known motivational speaker, expert in their field, and putting up something that messages their message of the theme that I'm following, or maybe a message I want to convey. One, it's an attention grabber. It's credible because it comes from somebody that's, popular or very well known. But two, it now gives me a foundation of, okay, John C. Maxwell said this about consistency. What are some of the things that I can now talk about after that big post that will keep the I guess the vibe or the messaging or the energy of that going. So tomorrow, in the next few days, the consistency stuff will be more my own words, but I like to throw in a few every once in a while, because if I've found a new followers or have some other people that are interested in what I do, I might become a little bit more recognizable by throwing up something that's a little more popular. But once I've kind of shifted away from that and I want to create my own words, it makes me more relatable.
Yes, and it also gives you the opportunity to showcase your expertise to the people whose attention you've grabbed through the other means.
Correct.
Now, how do these images play with describe your process? For some people who have never created a quote post, and for those who don't know what that is, it's essentially an image with text of some sort and some kind of branding of some sort on the image, rather than just telling the story in the caption. How do you go about deciding which images work, which don't work, and talk about that for a little bit?
So really depending upon what I would like to talk about. So today, consistency was about, I'm really trying to connect consistency with work ethic. And there were probably, I think, 25 plus photos that I had to choose from of me working on a computer or working on a computer with a client, or I'm on a phone texting or something. And I really wanted to convey consistency with a picture of focus, which if you look at the picture I have today, I'm not looking into the camera. I'm looking at my laptop. I'm actually working. So, and that's also a hashtag that I used in my content was focus. So when I look at a picture and think about, okay, what about consistency do I want to talk about today? Or if it's, something fun and goofy, like it's some of the pictures that I took where I made the weirdo faces that you were like, oh, great. They work.
Yeah, I was a big fan of those.
So I think about, okay, if I were reading this and I was looking for something specific about consistency or focus or fun or goofiness, what image best fits that? And then as I'm typing along, I look at that quote today and I'm like, okay, what are some of the things that I've done consistently with discipline? What have I learned how can I ask people to share what they've done consistently that they've excelled at, because I want to learn from them too, and then keep the conversation going. So that's kind of how I pick my pictures.
That's awesome. And with respect to the image content portfolio you have, how do you feel about talk about the wide range of emotions that are within that particular, the images that we worked on together, and how valuable that is to have that kind of range and that flexibility?
Well, I would say there are quite a few, actually. Some of them are super hilarious and goofy.
On that end, yes.
On that end.
But actually, before you say it, why do those work? Why do those work for you?
They work for me because I think people see me as a real human being, and that it's not always a glamour shot or a flexing fitness shot or me just, with a beautiful background or something else. It's actually me being a dork, which is pretty normal. And I think the very first picture, I think I was cross-eyed, I stuck my tongue out or something that I posted, and you messaged me, you're like, oh my God, you posted it. But if you looked at it, I had a ton of engagement, a ton of comments of, oh my God, I love this, you're super goofy. And it makes it super relatable. You're not just this quote unquote highlight reel of the pretty stuff all day long that you see. So that's one. The other stuff, when I'm trying to convey maybe a more intense message of focus or accountability or drive or work ethic, or maybe something has impacted me in a way that, made me a little sad or down, I'm able to go through all of these different types of pictures that we took, and with either the quote that I put on there or the message in the content, people, I think, will be able to feel what I'm saying. Because, it's hard to, that's what I love about what we did together, because in most cases, it's really hard to slap up a picture, type out some words, and somebody gets an energetic reaction from it. And that's really what I'm looking for, is something that will spark oh my God, that's me too. Oh my God, she's going what I'm going through. Oh my God, she was able to overcome this, or I want to try this because if she did it, I can do it, kind of thing. And that's really what the visual punctuation has been super valuable, because those pictures can evoke an emotion, which will hopefully create some sort of action for them to contact me or take some action in their life to move the ball forward, if that makes sense.
It makes total sense, and that's exactly why we did that. So that's it's good to hear that that's working out for you, because that's what we do it for. Now, you'd mentioned before that you are getting some more DMs, you're getting more attention. With respect to the results that you're getting so far after trotting these things out, do you feel that this session is something that, let's put it this way, if you were talking to another fitness professional, a coach of some sort, and discussing the value of what it is that we did together, how would you frame that within the conversation with them?
The conversation was about building your brand or expanding your current business, or maybe making a change in how you're showing up on social media. Then I would say you need to spend time with yourself and meaning you, John, and have, and really take the time to think about what you want to convey that can expand your brand or can bring more business to your, what you're currently doing, and take the time to really sit down and focus on that, because just anybody can throw pictures up there and hope and pray and cross their fingers. But as long as you're, creating something that's not only empowering you to put more of yourself out there and talk about your business, but it's also creating that openness and, relatability for that person that's viewing the image and reading the content to actually want to engage with you.
Do you feel that these images help create that rapport and connection before they ever have a conversation with you?
Heck yeah, I get that a lot. I actually just reconnected with the daughter of the nursery school that I used to go to, and I was 3, 4, and 5 years old. She found me on social media. She's like,
Oh,
Kristi,
wow.
a few of your posts I scrolled through. I had to reach out to you and talk to you. And I just was blown away. Like, I'm like, oh, wow. And so we've actually connected, and we're meeting for coffee in the next week or so when our schedules align up. And she's like, I really need to make a change, but so much of what you go through and you talk about, I'm feeling the same way. And I thought I was all by myself.
See? Creating community through branded lifestyle portraits. How can you get any better than that?
And I love it because when we do our next session, it's going to be so much more fun because now that we know each other so well.
Yeah, now you're prepared for all of the shit that I'm about to throw at you again. Yes, it's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot. Yes, it will be magical. I look very much forward to that. And, well, thank you for doing this with me. I really appreciate it.
I just love you.
Oh, you stop it. Listen, safe travels. Thank you for doing this. So appreciative of you. Thank you so much.
Have a kick-ass day, my friend.
All right, you too.